My mother went into labour with me during the Nutcracker Suite in a theatre and stayed throughout the performance. So technically, I was born in a theatre.
I think the first thing I wanted to be when I was a child was a magician, and then probably an astronaut.
I was always dressing up my little brothers in sort of a house coat with tinsel stapled around the edge to be like a royal cape and making them perform, little plays I'd written, like a total dictator.
I imagine I would be a taxi driver when I grew up. I thought to be stuck in a very formal relation with different kinds of people would be fun.
I wanted to be a song and dance man. I wanted to be in a top hat and tails, some hybrid between a Fred Astaire and a Gene Kelly.
The first thing I asked my brother when I was really little was, I wanted to be a rabbit. He said, you can't be a rabbit. I thought you could grow up being anything you wanted.
By the time I was 10 years old, I'd told my mother I wanted to be a musician. Obviously, when you're 10 years old and you tell your parent that you're going to be a musician one day, I imagine, as with most people, my mother met it with a response of, well, that's very nice, darling.
The only thing I ever remember wanting to be is an actress. I was either really extroverted and it was clear that that's the kind of thing that I would do, or I think my mother was really into the idea of being an actress herself and had never done it.
My mother was convinced I was a child prodigy. When I was 11 or 12, she decided to publish my poetry. At that time, I decided, well, I'm just going to go to my room and paint some paintings. That way, no one can bother me with that. No one can claim I'm a poet. No one will care if I'm a painter.
I dressed really different. And, you're a kid, you're expressing yourself through your clothing and everything. It just got unbearable to go to school because of the bullies. Just this constant harassment every single day. I had a picture of Elton John on my wall, and he was in just the most outrageous outfit. I'm like, there's got to be a place for me somewhere if this guy's dressed like that.
My imagination was my best friend, growing up. To know that even if you're in a hospital bed and you can't move physically, and you have to see the window and imagine the world out there, and you learn very quickly that you can travel in your head.
I wasn't really aware as a kid of the role of a fashion designer. I didn't know any fashion designers. I don't think my parents really knew any fashion designers. So all I knew growing up was basically people that created.
All I wanted to do by the time I was 16 for sure was to be in a band. I hadn't really considered failure. You don't when you're that young. You don't ever look back and think, how could that go wrong?
There is something so wonderful about kids. They never think something's impossible, never. They think that they just haven't figured out how to do it yet.
The first time I realized that I actually wasn't pretending and that maybe this was the right thing was I did a film called Factory Girl about Edie Sedgwick. I was really proud of the intensity and of the commitment that I'd given to it, and also intimidated by its hold on me.
I had my photographs. It was all my friends from high school naked. And Andy looked at the pictures. He was like, these are great, these are great. And I went running back to my friends at Parsons, being like, Andy said my pictures were great. That was before I realized he used that term like all the time.
I realized something had changed when I looked at my signature, and all of a sudden it was my signature. I didn't sign my works, but just as when I was writing, when I had to put a signature somewhere, all of a sudden it had actually a form.
When I won my first race, it was a complete surprise. I couldn't breathe. I collapsed after I crossed the finish line and was gasping for air, and the whole thing was a really ugly mess. But I did win, and I just thought, the peacock tail came out. It was like, what else can I do that I didn't know I could do? Because sprinting was not a passion. It was a complete curiosity. I wanted to see if I could go against my nature.
If there was a lesson that I learned then was how not to really pay attention to what people say and just do your thing, just keep doing it. And You know, have your ups and downs. People will say what they're going to say and just keep doing it, you know?
In all sort of walks of life, cracking it open and falling is like, it's the only way to emerge as better and stronger. I've definitely stumbled and fallen many times.
Falling down and getting back up teaches a sense of drive and resilience and focus, and it's a kind of coming of age and a maturity in the process of being a creator.
If you choose to be an artist, that's what you choose. You don't choose to be a fallen artist or a rising artist or a whatever artist. You choose to be an artist.
You should create for yourself and then hope that you connect with other people. But it's good when things aren't always a commercial success, because it does give you some sort of equilibrium in your world.
You have to experiment, you have to create, you have to bring ideas or instincts to fruition. Ambition is about birthing ideas, putting them out there and actually creating them rather than conceptualizing them.
I feel like it's a hard thing to understand. I don't feel particularly ambitious, I don't feel competitive. But at the same time, I know that I wouldn't have been able to achieve certain things without having that streak. I just don't see it. I don't feel like this work sort of defines me. At the same time, I can't really live without it.
Inherent in ambition is, it's not just the dreaming of another possibility, it's the active pursuit. So it's the dreaming and the doing. And I think that's quintessential to New York.
For me, it's like a lover. I can't explain my relationship with the city, but I know that a lot of people feel that way. I land and I feel like in love at that skyline. And excited, and then there are days where it's moody and mean and like it completely rejects you. I don't know. It feels to me like it's a living, breathing thing.
I eventually just stopped going to school completely. So 10th and 11th grade, I totally missed out on, because I found New York, and that was it. I think I found my people.
Downtown was fantastically dilapidated, but of course this was not a minus for me, this was a plus. At that time, you have to think that all my neighbors were dancers, not only dancers, but avant-garde dancers. Of all of the different artistic calls, that's the one that for sure is going to bring you the least money. So, and they all had gigantic lofts on Broadway where I was also living.
You know, the first time we came to New York City, I don't actually ever remember being more excited in my life. When the plane approached and we saw the skyline, I just couldn't believe it. She said, "Okay, guys, what do you want to do? You've got a couple of days off in Manhattan." I just immediately said, "Well, I'd like to go up the Empire State Building and meet Andy Warhol." And then we were in the factory.
If I was to write a letter, I don't even know that I put Dear Andy. I'd be like, Andy,